Okay, so for section 5.2, I'm going to spend a lot of time in this first video explaining how to find the different stuff it asks you for, and the following ones I'll probably run through the examples more so on it. So this first one I'm going to take some time and explain more, I guess. We'll see how it goes. I just feel like there's a lot of what am I trying to say? Little nitpicky things to this. That's not too terrible. That shouldn't be so hard to explain. I'm going to switch cameras to my document camera. Okay, so I copied out the problems from my online class, which all of y'all are based off the online classes, so don't freak out on that. But you know they change the numbers every time. So analyze the polynomial function f of x. I'm going to turn off the autofocus. That's not doing that time. F of x equals x squared times x plus 6. The graph of f behaves like y equals. So when we go to find what it behaves like, we're trying to figure out what the first term is. So when they have behaves like, it's always going to be whatever the first term is. First term when multiplied out. And that's probably not the best way to say that, so don't judge me. Okay, so on this one we'd have x squared times x plus 6. When I say multiplied out, we're going to go ahead and multiply. So x squared times x would be x cubed, and x squared times 6 would be plus 6x squared. And what this graph is going to behave like is the first term. So our graph is going to behave like x cubed for large values of the absolute value of x cubed. Find the x and y intercepts of the graph of the function. The x-intercepts are. So remember when we have x-intercepts, y equals 0. So on that, I'm going to need, or how do I want this? I want to be able to print y'all out this paper too, so I'm going to just draw a line. All right, x-intercepts. How about just run this paper? And so when we have x-intercepts, y equals 0, I'm going to rewrite this equation up here. So we have our x squared times x plus 6. And y equals it because it's a function. So we have 0 equals x squared times x plus 6. So we break this apart. So 0 equals x squared and 0 equals x plus 6. So here square root of 0 is 0. So 0 equals x. And over here negative 6 equals x. On this one, they're not telling you to write it as an ordered pair, so you don't have to write it as an ordered pair. So our x-intercepts are 0 and negative 6. On these, be sure you don't write parentheses as well. Our x-intercepts are going to be the same as our zeros, but we're going to talk about that more in a second. So next is y-intercept. And when we have our y-intercepts, our x equals 0, and then we're going to take the equation. I guess I'll leave it like that real quick. Y equals x squared times x plus 6. So I have y equals 0 squared times 0 plus 6. So y equals 0 times 6. So y equals 0. So our y-intercept is 0. The zeros of f is our, remember when we're finding our zeros, I'm going to flip this over. It's the same as when we were putting the zeros they gave us in 5.1 into the equation. So we have x subtract r here. And we have x squared and x plus 6. So this one would be, so 0 is one of ours. And then this x subtract negative 6 would be this x plus 6. So we have a negative 6 here. But your x-intercepts and your zeros are always going to be the same. So because at that x-intercept, your y value is 0. So there's that. I'll box this off. On these, remember, I'll put it in for multiplicity. I think they used it in them. So this number right here is always our multiplicity. So on this first one, this x squared, our multiplicity is going to be 2. And then we have x plus 6. We assume there's a 1 there. So our multiplicity on that one is 1. What they're going to get you with on these is that they're asking for the lesser zero of the function is a blank multiplicity. So our lesser zero, this one was the 0, negative 6. So that's this one. So lesser 0, negative 6. Our multiplicity on that one is 1. So the graph of f, and they have this wrote out weird on mine. They're saying these are little drop down menus that come from these. And what you need to know, I'm going to abbreviate multiplicity. If it's odd, we cross it. If it's even, it touches. So since this one's 1, we are going to cross the x-axis at x equals negative 6. The greater 0, our greater 0 is 0. The multiplicity is 2, so it touches the x-axis at 0. Determine the maximum number of turning points on the graph. So remember our turning points is the highest exponent subtract 1. So on this, though, so from the equation, that's not factored any. So on this one, we go back to that very first equation, this x cubed plus 6x squared. So that x cubed plus 6x squared. This is our highest exponent, so we have 3 subtract 1. So we have 2 turning points. Then when we go to look for our graph, we need to take everything that we found. So I know this is positive, and the graph of x cubed is going up. So I know that my graph will have to go up, so it's not going to be this one or this one because it's going down. These two are going up. Now then I'm going to look at these. So at -6, I'm going to cross. So at -6, I'm going to cross. And then at positive or at 0, I'm going to touch. So yeah, so there's a lot of little nitpicky things, but we'll get through this. Let's go ahead and do number 2 real quick. Analyze the polynomial function. I'm going to clear this real quick too. F of x equals x plus 4 times x subtract 1 squared. So this behaves like is our first term when multiplied out. So we have x plus 4, and that's x minus 1 squared. So x squared subtract 2x plus 1. Because you'd have to FOIL that. So I'd have x cubed 2x squared plus x plus 4x squared subtract 8x plus 4. So x cubed plus 2x squared subtract 7x plus 4. Right here is what it's going to be like. First term after we multiplied out. Our x-intercepts. So x-intercepts y equals 0. So we'd have 0 equals x plus 4 and 0 equals x minus 1. So this one would be -4 and this one would be +1. So -4 equals x and 1 equals x. Y-intercepts, so x equals 0. So y equals 0 plus 4 times 0 subtract 1 squared. And I'm going to go sideways on this. So we'd have 4 times -1 squared. -1 squared is +1. So we'd have 4 times 1, which is 4. Our zeros and our intercepts are always the same. So we'd have -4 and 1. The smaller 0 of the function is a multiplicity. So our smaller 0, smaller number is -4. Slide this up. Multiplicity, when we're looking at multiplicity, we go back to the top. This didn't have one, so I assume it's 1. So the graph odd number is going to cross the x-axis at, what was that smaller 0? The larger 0 of the function is a multiplicity 2. So the graph touches because it's even at x equals 1. Maximum number of turning points. So turning points, we look back at that first term and do 3 subtract 2. 3 subtract 1 because it is 2. Highest exponent subtract 1. Then we take everything we found to graph it. So this was positive. So I know we're going to be going up from left to right. These both go down. So between these two, it's going to cross at -4. And it's going to touch at 1. So stop this video.